Um, honestly, even if you have like MS Paint, you can use the little eyedropper tool to get your colors and
That
stuff.
looks fun.
It's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you've got, MS Paint or paint.net or something, I don't know. I use Sprite.
Completely snubbing GIMP.
Yeah. Yeah, GIMP would work too. You can do the thing. So let me just show you some of the stuff that's on here, which I'm actually really proud of. I did not think I was going to be able to art this well, but I had clearly like a really, I don't know how to describe that, but like a heavily shaded and like stark white skin Ronald McDonald's face. And again, here's an example of something getting cut off. Like, you don't want to do that. If you have a pizza there, even if you don't know what to do with it, at least just like you sort of bring it to a point or something so that it fades out. Had some little twirly bits here, some tacos and some confetti, and so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do a torso, I'm going to do an upside down Wendy head, so there's two heads just coming out of one thing. I wanted to draw a burger, but it was too hard, so I did fries. And the fries are, flying into space and mixing with the tacos, and then I copied tried to copy the style of this taco over here and the confetti and stuff, just to sort of make it all blend together. And yeah, honestly, I'm really surprised at my ability to draw Wendy. I was using a reference, of course. What was my reference here? It was this. Oh, Firefox. That. So I was like, all right, they've got the little hair and the two-toned hair shading, dark red and the bright red. Also, you're limited to this palette with this this thing, so you can only use those colors. You can't, if you try to use anything else, the server will like move it to the nearest one. Yeah, so there's that. And if you check something out, I've done this a couple of times. And so I have, 24 hours to complete the tile. You don't have to do 24 hours. I usually do them in like 2 or 3. But like the Wendy tile, I went to bed and I came back the next day and I was like, I need to look at it again just to make sure that I'm satisfied with it. So I'm gonna check this one out. And here's what I've got to work with. And if that time is running out, I like what I'm doing, but I'm busy. I'm working. I'm on call, If I get interrupted 12 times between now and 24 hours from now, I'm not gonna have time to do it, so I just hit extend time. You can do this indefinitely. I would advise not, extending for a week. Just because, especially if it's the last tile on a quilt. Not that ever happened recently. And similarly, if you're just like, man, I what the hell, I don't know how to deal with this, you just cancel your tile. I'm not going to. I'm gonna grab this one, because why not? And yeah, see what I can come up with. I had literally no ideas because I didn't know what I was working with, but that's what we got. So let's download. And whoops, open up. And also the palette here, very important. Use that palette. If you use something that's not in that palette, the server's going to, like, if you used like a hot pink, it's probably going to be like, yeah, this bright red is the closest thing I've got to hot pink. So even though you wanted it to be pink, it'll jump to the red and things are going to look probably like poop. Or maybe they won't, but, try to work with the constraints that you've got. So I've got this little guy here. And I have the luxury of working with layers, so I'm going to, but if you didn't, you could still, just draw in this empty space here. the tutorial says, you know, be careful not to draw on the border. It's not that you're gonna break anything if you draw on the border. It's just that if you do draw on the border, like if I drew, you know, Virus 6 crab, I don't remember what it looks like, but that's not right. It's more like this. If I drew this out here,
-6 crab.
Thank you for the reference. I did okay. For having not actually looked at it in a while. If I submitted this...
-6 crab.
Basically, that's all that would actually show up. It's not you're gonna break anything by drawing in the other tile, you're just not going to actually see it. And when you check it in, you know, you'll see that. But yeah, that's this area is just what somebody else hasn't worked on because it's not there yet. So it just shows up as a checkerboard pattern. But yeah, so you know, I can see up here there's like a crab with a W face, and then this one's sort of like happy and he's saying something. Wow, maybe? Wow hearts? Icy purple tentacles or something. I've got a green background here. I've got a sandy background here. And now it's just, you know, try to do the thing. Is that the right palette? I'm not sure. Just to be on the safe side. Usually when I'm working on one of these, if I've got space, I just drag the palette like down here or something, so I can just pull from it whenever I need it. And yeah, so I'm gonna make another layer. I make a bunch of layers, and I'm gonna need them eventually. We'll just call that tile. And yeah, that's definitely not the same palette. So if you're working in Sprite, and I'd recommend it because it's pretty great, you can copy a palette. So I just drag this BMP file into here. It automatically generates a palette, and then I can just paste it in. And Sprite's got color modes like Photoshop and probably GIMP. So if you go to indexed colors, it's going to automatically lock anything that doesn't match what's in here to that palette. So the pink, you know, rectangles became orange because that was the closest thing they had. There's no black, so it became this dark purple. Yeah. And then, you know, from there, if I wanted a lime green, I tried to paint it. Oops. It's gonna give me the nearest color, which is like that tealish, turquoise-ish thing. If you can use indexed colors, then you don't have to worry about stuff being the wrong color. If you can't, you know, just always refer to these colors and don't use anything else. But yeah, so now that I've been rambling for an hour almost, I'm gonna draw some stuff. I have no idea what's going on here, and it unfortunately terminates, or it looks like it terminates right here. I can try to continue it though, just to give it, you know, less of a sharp border, because this text box also stops right at the edge of a thing, so I want to try to break up that grid as much as I can. And one thing to look out for is, like, this corner is sand as well, so if I added water that went right to here, it wouldn't be giving the person down here any way to merge those two corners together. So yeah, if I added water Oh man. Let's start with this here. Something like that. Sideways or dots, and then down here there's one example of it being sort of diagonal. So if I do some sideways ones here, but diagonal up, then whoever's down here will see, whoops, you know, well, I'm on the wrong layer, whoops. This going down, this going up, and be like, okay, you know, the water ends here, but maybe it can kind of wrap around a bit. I might make this a little sharper of a decline, just because it's gonna be a really sharp point otherwise. Whoops, what did I just do?
Maybe it's a fortune cookie.
Maybe it's a fortune cookie. Maybe. And you know what? That's totally fine. But I'm not going to try to make things hard for the other person. What? There we go. Okay. Just me not knowing how to use Asprit properly. It's fine. Here we go. This gives them a lot more room to work with for sort of blending this and all of this, whatever happens over here. But I can see that these dudes' feet don't end right, or they end right at the edge of the tile. So it's gonna be a small addition here. But if I just add, you know, essentially toes, I don't even know, toe tips there, it's small, but it's that tiny little bit that sort of subtly breaks the grid. Like, I can't justifiably be like, oh yeah, here's your legs are like extra long, unless I wanted to, make it into a Twizzler or something. Which I could do. I don't think I can make that work, so I'm not gonna try. But yeah, poking in a pixel or two at least does something to
Crab-flavored Twizzlers covered in Old Bay.
Crab-flavored Twizzlers covered in Old Bay. What's Old Bay? But because I've poked this in a little bit, I can have this guy sort of reaching for the...
It mimics my actual voice pretty well.
Does it? It had this crab reaching for this crab's crotch. And this right here,
Sure.
just slightly, doesn't even make that much of a difference, but it'll just delete that straight line of nothingness, thus breaking up the border a little bit. And then here,
pinching his crab sack.
His crab sack. Nice. Yes, exactly. This words box ends right at the edge. It also ends right at the side edge of that tile. And then this tentacle thing, I had like, with this weird extension thing, which doesn't really work, I'm trying to break through that barrier, but I sort of feel like all I can do is move it in like a couple pixels at most, which 1 pixel here, which is more than nothing, but I'd like to do more with it if I can help it. And then these are just undefined right now. This is what they saw. These are not done edges, these are done edges. But what likely happened was, if this was a done edge and they were like, oh, I'm gonna draw the rest of my lobster body. And so they're like, oh, well, it's...
Oh, gotcha.
It's like if I wanted to give this guy a crown, that's green. Crown? Give me a yellow. No, there's okay, a blue crown, purple crown. And I was like, yeah, look at this awesome crown. It's so cool. It kind of looks ridiculous.
LMAO, but enough about my butt.
But then everything up at this level just gets completely cut off.
Just put little pixel Jesus all around the borders of the image. Literal edge lords.
Little edge lords. Yeah, you could do that. Let's add some more texture to this bad boy. Just the red stuff. This is a thing that Arasuki taught me.
New document
Is
and copy the stupid layer it is.
Instead of trying to do, you know, like really detailed stripes and stuff in pixel art, which if they're close enough they just sort of look like a checkerboard pattern. One thing she taught me is sort of do your texture in bigger blobs.
Wait, once I index the colors, it locks the layers. Why?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I'm sticking some little blobs here and there, and some bigger blobs and spots. And yeah, just doing an art. The only way I know. Basically just click and spam randomly and hope that it looks sort of like something. And at the end of the day, I'm the only one, except, you know, now that I'm exposing myself to all of you, who knows that I don't actually know what I'm doing. Other people see that and they're like, oh, that's a really neat texture. I like how you captured the lobsterness of the lobster. I'm like, nah, dude. I just fucking clicked around and was like, yeah, you know, that doesn't look like shit.
Lol.
Not that anybody's ever complimented the lobsterness of my lobsters before, but if they did, you know, hypothetical. Feel free to compliment the lobsterness of my lobster to inflate my ego. Or don't. I'm not your dad.
Looks lobstery.
Thanks. I made it myself.
I know, I watched.
That's another thing that I learned, not directly, but just by watching people do art streams, is apparently a lot of people who like grew up trying to do art stuff had this like inbuilt stigma against using a reference, thinking that there's, you know, it makes you less of an artist if you can't just create this image from nowhere. But how can you know how to create an image from nowhere if you've never, you know, looked at the thing in great detail, right? So abandon that stigma if you can. One thing that I don't really use that much but could is with index colors, if you try to blur stuff, you can get an idea of what colors sort of will blend where. In this case, fucking none. But if I go to like this purple stuff here, you can see this bright blue, almost lavender color shows up as a blend between this light purple and the green, even though it's not actually there anywhere. Which is like a nice way to just sort of get a feel for what colors you can use to make things transition a little more smoothly. Here's a really great example.
Oh, I found it. That's what I was suggesting when I said long leg that crab.
Long leg that crab. Yeah, I want it to be a consistent style with these guys. Again, because I'm trying to to hide the border a little bit. Doing it like this, it's gonna sort of almost look like the border's like that. Unless I take another crab. Put it like down
You
here
could
somewhere.
put barnacles on.
You know what? You know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call this layer bucket. Something like that. You got a little pail and a tiny shovel stuck in the sand, and that breaks up this divide right here. In the off chance that somebody would think that that's where the grid is. I still don't know what the fuck's going on here, but I'm happy with a little bit of abstract to complete my mega crab lobster. Sorry. Yeah, so here, I usually cover it with my hand, but I'll cover it with a window so that you can sort of see what I'm seeing here. So this is what somebody's gonna have. They're gonna have one segment of body and the spotted abdomen with some legs. Sand, water, maybe? It's kind of unclear, but that's okay. Grass, and that crab is gonna be whatever. So I'm okay with that. You know, I'm giving them enough, I think, to work with. And then from here, shrink the window down. Whoops, didn't shrink it enough. This person, I'm giving this bit, which isn't super clear what's going on. This bit, which isn't super clear what's going on, but it's not total randomness. Like, you can see a pattern of, you know, purple aquarium music. Very nice choice. Very topical. This thing, red, purple, pink. This thing in red, purple, pink. It's enough of a pattern. And then, you know, maybe they'll see that that's a bucket and sand. Maybe they won't. But they should definitely see that this is water at a beach. I might add some more texture down here, though. And that's basically how I wrap up my tiles. I don't think I'm necessarily an expert on it, on account of I'm still pretty new to it, but I'm very stubborn about adhering to expectations. And so what it'll show you is your neighbor's edges, your tile, and how they line up. And you want to just sort of like go over it and make sure that you didn't miss anything. So like this is lining up properly as I wanted it to. You know, I don't have anything cutting off at the bottom. You can see the palette that I had at the bottom is just gone because anything outside of that center area just gets scrapped completely. And yeah, stuff seems to be, it's looking okay in my opinion. So I'm gonna hit close, and then I'm gonna check it in. Submitted, and we revealed 2 tiles. Oh my god!